Hey guys, well I'm here with my son Brennan Roberts, and he's home from the Air Force for a little bit, just kind of visiting back home. He's stationed in Mississippi. But anyway, I thought we'd do a little video today where I'd like to teach my son how to make a bow drill fire. I'm going to have a class coming up at, there's a place here in Wisconsin just a little ways away. It's called the Crex Meadows. I'm going to be teaching a beginner bow drill class there in October. And I figured my son would be a good guinea pig because I've never really taught anybody else how to do it. I've maybe taught some folks a little bit of things over the internet and stuff on YouTube, but never actually in person. So this is going to be, I'm going to use a set that I'm going to take to that Crex Meadows class. And basically what we've got here is we've got a piece of cedar board. And I'm going to go ahead and, for my class, already make the spindles just because it's going to save some time. It's only an hour-long class. And the bow drill, you know, I mean, it's an involved skill if you've never done it before. So I want to make sure that I have all these pieces already made. And besides that, I mean, I can kind of show you what, you know, what it looks like, and you can say, you know, it's not rocket science. You should be able to, you know, carve this into a circle or whatever. I'm also going to have some bows already made up, just like I said, just to kind of save some time. I'm going to supply all the materials for the class. And one of the most important pieces is going to be a bearing block. Now this one, we've got this one from a inline skate. It's an inline skate wheel. I've got some skateboard wheels, inline skate wheels, and then just also just the bearing block, or the wheel bearings that I inserted into some pieces of wood. So I've got a lot of options for the bearing block. And in my opinion, you want people to have success right away so that they don't lose interest in some of this stuff. So to have a frictionless, awesome bearing block is going to be key for beginners to get success. So, all right, I'm going to set the camera up a little bit, and I'm just going to totally go through everything with my son, and hopefully he gets a coal. And if he does get a coal, I've got some tinder that we can blow into a fire and see if we can't maybe even cook something over that fire. So, all right, let's get set up. All right, bud, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that we're set up for success with a fire. This isn't going to be in my bow drill class just because there's not enough time, the one that I'm going to be teaching at the Crex Meadows. But for us to do this right now, I want to be totally ready for a fire. So if you use a log or a stick like this, what it does for you is it can get your tinder and or not your tinder, but like your kindling and stuff like that. It can get it up in the air, and that way oxygen and the fire and stuff can go right through it. So I want you to take your smalls and just kind of stack them on top of here, and then some of the smaller of the medium-sized ones. And go ahead and grab all your smalls, and I don't want them to be like all perfect exactly one way. They got to, you know, they say that chaos is a fire oh, I forget how they word it, but basically fire likes chaos is basically it. So go ahead and throw them on there, just kind of random, get them up there. And what you want to do is you're going to want a little bit of an opening so that when you get your tinder bundle done, you're going to want to be able to shove it in there. So okay, we'll get some of them. Some of these smalls are a little too small for this. They're not long enough, but we'll have a fire for sure with all this birch bark and stuff. So yeah, just throw it in there. Throw it on top of there. We'll weave some of this in there. Get them all up on top there. There you go. Alright, that'll get us a little bit of a head start. And throw all them smalls on there, and that birch bark and stuff. We'll definitely have a fire after that. And then you can throw, you know, that piece that we were messing with, the feather sticks. You can put some of those shavings, grab that shavings off that feather stick. It's in the pile there. There you go. Just grab the shavings and just kind of sprinkle them on there. There you go. That's perfect. Alright, so you always want to make sure you have your tinder bundle ready before you do the bow drill set. So grab that stuff, there you go. And I want you to really work it like this and just really break it all apart. So I want this stuff to mostly look like this, all fine and hairy, you know what I mean? So you grab it, and you don't want it this small obviously, but you want to take the whole thing like this. You want to take the whole thing and rub it like this. Really work it. Okay.
Okay.
Because what we're going to end up doing is we want a bird's nest. Okay.
Oh, I see.
And you see this stuff? That's what we want to put the coal up against. We want it to be just super finely shredded, just nothing but hairy fibers. Okay.
Okay.
The problem with this stuff sometimes is it's so dry that it'll turn to powder sometimes. So sometimes it's kind of good to put the spindle right here. Sometimes it's kind of good to do this over a flat board or something. And that's pretty good. You really want quite a bit more than this, but we'll be able to make it work like this. So now there's your bird's nest, and hand me the grass real quick. And when it comes time, what we're going to do is we're going to separate this grass and put that in there like this. And you're going to be able to hold on to it like this. And when you tuck that coal in there, if you're not careful, you can spill the coal out. But what you want to do is you want to get it going, and then you're going to want to lift it up so that the heat and the smoke goes up through the tinder bundle.
Okay.
The wind isn't blowing too bad today, but if it were blowing, you would want the wind at your back because you want the oxygen to be your friend. And you can manipulate the tinder bundle by closing it or opening it up, depending on what the ember's doing. If the ember's starting to die out, you can't get it enough oxygen, you can open it up. And if it seems to be just burning the material around it without really spreading, then you can close it together. And you want to start with real gentle breaths until you can start to see the smoke come out of the tinder bundle. And when the smoke starts coming out of the tinder bundle, then usually that means you can really, give it a good couple of breaths. Okay? We'll set the tinder bundle aside. So there's your handle. So we'll set that aside over there. There you go. All right, now onto the bow drill set. And actually what we need to do is we're going to reset up over there, just on the other side of the tinder bundle, because we don't want to interfere with our fire lay, and we want plenty of room for you to be able to saw that bow back and forth. So let's stop the camera and reset up over there. Okay, as you can see, it's been raining for 2-3 days here, so you always want to make sure that your bow drill set is up off the ground. We're lucky here, we have birch bark, so everything is up off the ground. The very first thing that you want to do is, you've got your bow drill set here, and what I've done for a good beginner set is you go to the hardware store and you buy a 1x4 piece of cedar and you cut it down into about a 10-inch chunk, okay? And then you saw how I was batoning before. They call that batoning, where you put your knife up here and smack it. So then I cut, basically a square off of this board, and then I carve it into a round spindle, okay?
Okay.
So I carved it into a round spindle. I've got this end very tapered, and that's the end that will go into your bearing block, okay? This will fit in there pretty snug, and now it's basically a frictionless fit right there, okay? Mm-hmm. So that's your bearing block. Now you've got your spindle. The spindle has been carved a little tiny bit like the top of an acorn, you know what I mean? Or like the end of an egg, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the next part that you have is, or let's just go through the theory here real quick. And I know it probably sounds pretty obvious, but basically the theory is that you are going to create dust and then eventually heat, which will ignite that dust and make it a coal. You've got the three main parts to the bow drill. Basically there's 4 parts, but 3 main parts. You've got the spindle, you've got the hearth board, and you've got the bearing block. The bow isn't near as important as the rest of the components. Basically you don't even need a curved stick, but it does help to have a curved stick. The spindle and the hearth board need to be made of a soft wood. You've seen, aspen will work, popple we call it here, birch, cedar, willow, basswood, lots of different woods will work. So you've got the two, you've got the spindle, and you've got the hearth board, and then you've got the bearing block. The bearing block is one of the most important pieces of kit, or one of the most important pieces to the bow drill set, in my opinion, because if you don't have a real good frictionless bearing block, you are going to struggle with the bow drill set, because the object is to get a lot of friction between the end of the spindle and your hearth board, and as little friction as you can get everywhere else, including the bill, including the bow and the bearing block. So a lot of people, think that it's the hardest way to do it is with a wood bearing block. There's some certain tricks that you can do to make a wood bearing block work, but a rock with a hole in it, a couple of clamshells, something like that, or like what we're doing here with this inline skate wheel. So anyway, that's what we got. Now I want you to put the spindle right against the edge, so that one edge of the spindle is right at the edge of your hearth board, and the other part's right there. And we'll make a mental note of where that is. So go ahead and put that there. Straight up and down, like this. Okay? Okay. Now I want you to make a divot with your knife. We'll just make a mental note of it. You can even use, a good way to tell if it's good bow drill set wood is because if you take your thumbnail and rub it in there, see how it made an indentation? Okay, so you see how you can do it like this, or you can lay it down, whatever. Sure. But anyway, the edge of the hearth board with the edge of the spindle is even, and now the edge of the spindle is right there. That's where I want the center of the divot that you're going to make. You're going to make a divot, and you're going to kind of carve around with your knife, okay? And it doesn't have to be super big. You don't want it bigger than your spindle, but you're going to try, and not super deep, but you're going to make a divot with your knife there in order to get started with this spindle. And the safest way to do that, usually, I'm going to pretend this is the knife, okay? Usually the safest way to do that is to get a good grip on the knife, and then hold your knife in a comfortable position, wherever that may be for you. And then they say that the safest way to do that is to actually turn the hearth board and not your knife. That way you're not going like this and then slip and cut yourself. Okay. I'm going to put that out of the way, and we'll let you do the divot, and we'll get right back to it. Okay, so I'm just going to show you really quick just the basic mechanics involved in doing this bow drill. There are a lot of things to learn about the bow drill. This is this class I'm going to be giving is going to be a basic class. I may do an advanced class where I do a lot more tricks and stuff like that. But anyway, right now, what you need to do is you grab your spindle and you'll wind it up inside the bow, okay? And sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to wind it up, but if you twist and roll the spindle, say I'm rolling it, now I'm rolling it back, now I'm rolling it forward, and every time I'm rolling it, I'm kind of twisting this way with my spindle. That makes sense?
Which way?
So I've got it in, and rather than just forcing it right now like this,
right, twist. Okay.
I twist it a little bit, okay, and it kind of helps seat it a little bit better.
Oh, I see.
So now I'm holding it with my index finger and my thumb, because if I let go, obviously it's gonna go flying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've got it. We're going to put it in the socket like this, okay? I'm going to put this, we're both left-handed, so it helps me teach you. You're going to put your boot, now my boot's kind of a little bit wet. So, it would be nice if I was stepping on this. I don't think your tennis shoes are too bad, but anyway, it'd be nice if I was stepping on this piece of birch bark. I want my boot to be as close to that spindle as I can get it, just about, without it rubbing on my boot. I want to be in a comfortable position here. I want kind of my body in the same line kind of as what I'm going to be stroking my bow back and forth. I want the bearing block to be locked, my wrist locked against my shin. Oh, and the thing came over. I want my wrist locked against my shin. I want to be kind of straight up and down over the bow drill. I wouldn't want to be leaning from one side to the other. I want everything to be just super natural. So I'm basically taking a break and leaning on this spindle, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then I'm going to go gently back and forth. Before you even get going to town, I want to see this happen just real quick. I want you to do this, and I want you to try really hard not to let your wrist move anywhere or go anywhere, okay? And just a heads up, you will feel this rubbing against your hand, but it won't hurt.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and can be hard at first. There you go. Now twist and roll.
Which way do I twist?
Let me see if I can help you real quick. So let go for a second. So grab it, and what I do is I'll stick it in between the gap of my hand and the string, turn it to the right, and then back to the left. And then I roll it and twist it. So I've got the spindle, I put it in between, let's see, how did I do that? I got the string on my left, my hand on the left. Or is that how I did it? It's always so natural. Put it down there. All you're doing is just twisting it in the string. That's a hard way to teach it if you don't remember how you did it. Let's see if I can think of a good way to do that. So, oh yeah, that's how I was doing it. You hold it up like this, put it between your arm and the string, back to the right, okay, and then like that. Okay. So hold the string in your finger. There you go, and there you go. Give yourself plenty of meat so it doesn't slip off the spindle, because you want the string down about there. So in other words, don't be so close to the end of the spindle with the string. There you go. Now just twist. You don't have to wrap it anymore. Just get it in there and twist the spindle. There you go. So keep rolling it and twisting it, and force that string in there. You're not going to break that string. There you go. There you go. Twist it like this. Lock it in there. Twist it. And now roll it. There. Now you got it. All right.
Okay.
Now, go ahead and rotate the bow over. And hold on to the, there you go. Perfect. Just like that. Now grab it. And you want to make sure it's locked in, because if it's, see how it's starting to separate? It's going to force its way out.
I got it.
Okay. All right, now set it down on top of that divot. Now get your shoe as close to the spindle as you can. There you go. Lock it in there. There you go. Grab the back of the bow. Grab the back of the bow. All the way back. Get your hand all the way back. All the way back. Get your hand all the way. There you go.
Okay, so it can be on the string?
Yeah, it can be on the string. Now go forward and back. Just go nice smooth movements. And you're going to want to make sure. Oh, did it break already?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll redo that. But
let me try the other side.
yeah, but I have to do this. So we'll resharpen the spindle real quick, but you can see the idea of it right now, and just hold it there for a second. Don't move. But when you stroke the bow, it's going to be a very natural forward and back motion with this on.
Okay.
All right, let's carve the spindle down a little bit.
Okay.
All right, we've got the spindle carved down a little bit better, and he's restrung the bow, and let's see if we can get some form down there real quick. See how that's what I was talking about. That's the difference between when the string is separated, it's got a lot more force under it than when the string is together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just trying to get it to a spot where you can hold on to it?
Yeah, it's just, I'm just uncoordinated with it.
So get your hand all the way to the back of the bow. That's where sometimes what I'll do is I'll string the bow and then I'll work the spindle all the way to the back of the bow, so I start with it at the back of the bow.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Now you can tell when you start doing this a little bit,
The rope starts to separate.
the rope starts to separate, and what do you think that means?
This is getting a lot harder. It's
It means that the plane of the bow is not 100%
right.
level.
It's not level.
Right. But now you're perfect. So just go ahead and go forward and backwards, and let's just do that a few times, and use the entire bow all the way. That's okay.
Do I just need to put more pressure with my hand?
Yeah, it's surprising. I did a bathroom scale, and it took 40 to 50 pounds of pressure on the bearing block to get a coal. The bearing block needs a lot of pressure. For right now, you just need to kind of keep it there. And if we get this burned in, it'll make this socket a lot deeper, and then it won't flip back out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I just want you to get the form down a little tiny bit. Sorry, man. It was a big old bee. I didn't want it to get you. Normally, I'd have ran like a little girl, but I didn't want him getting my little. I didn't want him getting my little guy. There you go, just like that. Get it as close to that spindle as you can. See how if you get too far away, I'm exaggerating, but your shin would be sideways. You know what I mean? You want everything right up, straight up and down. Okay, so go back, all the way back. There you go. And then all the way forward. And it should be a very natural motion with your arm. I want you to pick up speed, and I want you to put a bit of pressure there. Okay, I want like that much pressure. And I want you to go a little bit fast. Get the motion down, and use the whole bow. Push down hard. Push down hard and use the whole bow. Use the whole bow. There you go, just like that. Just like that. Keep going like that for a while. You're getting smoke even. Keep going. Okay, it broke the bearing block. So now I know with my class, I can't use those for bearing blocks. So let's go get another bearing block and we'll try it again.
Okay. Helps too if the board is level.
Is the board not level on there?
It's not level.
Okay. So you're already getting some dust. See? Put just your ball of your foot on there. Because if you put your shin right there, the spindle will be diving back towards your leg.
Okay.
You want it locked. Because if you go too far around, it's not stable. You want
right.
That shin right there.
I'm just testing it.
Okay. Believe me, this isn't my first problem.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. Now I want you to, once it starts feeling comfortable, I want you to use the whole bow, and I want you to go not 90 miles an hour, but I want you to go pretty fast, okay? But first get comfortable and get the motion down. Because actually the faster you go, the easier it is to hold it in place. And keep plenty of pressure on the bearing block. There you go. Now go. There you go. If you go fast, it gets smooth. There you go, just like that. And a little bit more pressure. There you go. Go faster. And just keep that up. Use your whole bow. Keep going. See how smooth it is? You notice the difference in the sound. Okay, stop. That's as far as you want to go. We're going to stop the camera and we'll do the notch. All right, bud, I'm going to let you do this here for a second, but I just want to show you. We've got our saw here from our multi-tool. The saw is the easiest way to make the notch. You make the initial notch with the saw, and then you go with your knife and kind of clean it up. So can I see your spindle, please? So basically what I do is I'll take my spindle, and you know, it is approximately the diameter of the socket right now, but anyway, I'll set it next to it again, okay? And we'll just use your knife just to, because it's easy and handy right here just for a mark. I got it. But I like to make my notch, the end piece down here, as wide as my spindle, okay? So I'll make just a tiny little indentation there, and a tiny little indentation there. And we want to be real careful, obviously it's a real unstable platform, but we'll make sure our spindle doesn't get in the dirt. So I made a notch there and a notch there. I want this, or we made a mark there and we made a mark there. I want the notch to come from there You go there. Now, this is what we're going to do with our saw. We're going to cut this notch, and we're going to try to make sure that we're pretty straight up and down. We're going to saw, and we're going to make this notch stop at the edge of the hole, because I don't want to go too far, because if you go too far into the socket, it's not good. You can always cut away more material. You can never add material.
Right.
So use your saw, get right to the edge of the socket, and then we'll clean it up with your Mora. Okay? Just go real slow. There you go. Use your whole bow. Go all the way back. There you go, just like that. Now just keep going and just go just like that. You're just going to take a while. Okay? You're gonna be working. You got smoke. You got dust starting to collect in the notch. You just need to sit there and work it for a while. You're good. You can speed up the bow action if you want to. Otherwise, yeah, not too much. Just like that. Perfect. Now just keep going like that. Now you're starting to develop the dust in the back of the notch. Keep going. Keep going. You're just doing fine. You've got a lot of dust that's starting to collect into the back. You've got a lot of dust that's starting to collect into the back. Now I want you to go pretty hard and pretty fast. For as long as you can. Keep going. Keep going. Push down a little bit harder. Keep going, keep going. Keep going. Alright, now stop. Now pull the spindle out. Now put your hand on the board and move your foot out of the way. Just drop it. There you go. Now, I just want to see, is it still smoking?
Yep.
Alright. Now, what we want to do is we want to lift the board very gently and tap it with the spindle.
To get all the smoke out?
To get the dust off, to get the board away from the dust. Now just lift it and see if it'll even come up. Okay, now tap it, whack, whack. There, now lift the board away gently. Yep, now move the board away gently. Now get that out of the way. Now I want you to, we've got plenty of time. I want you to take the dust from the socket and put it into your tinder bundle. Tap it. Go tap, tap, tap. Beat the hell out of it and get it in there. Okay, now get back to your thing. Now there's no rush to this at all, but grab your tinder bundle. And I want you to be in a totally comfortable position. Don't step on your thing. Rach, oh, never mind. All right, so now I want you to, don't lift the circle, but now we're gonna fan it and see if we see a cherry. See how you see multiple cherries? Okay, so now you're going to set the tinder bundle on the ground because you want total focus on this coal. Do you see how it's leaning to the right a little tiny bit? Do you see that or not? Okay, well anyway, it's a fragile deal. Pick it up very carefully and get it very close to your tinder bundle. Now I want you to put your tinder bundle upside down on top of that coal like we talked about. Totally upside down. Put it, now, hold it together, now flip it. There you go, now get that piece of bark out of the way. Okay. There you go, you're fine. Now we want to nest it in there. I want you to blow gently. I want you to lift it up just a little bit. Do not let that coal fall out. The coal is not tucked inside the tinder. Good enough? Okay. Blow on it. Now lift it up. You're getting good. You're getting good air. Lift it up. Lift it up.
What do you mean lift it up?
I want you to blow so the heat rises, right? So lift it up like this. Turn your head away to breathe in. Turn your head away to breathe in. Turn your head away to breathe in. Now blow. Okay, turn it upside down. Upside down. Get it over your fire. Stuff it in here. Stuff it in here. Stuff it in there. Put a bunch of birch bark on it and feed it. There you go, you got a ton of time. See, that's what we get. We did our smalls, we did everything. So now you got time. You got all that birch bark on there. You just keep putting crap on there and you'll be fine. Blow on it a little bit. And you got it. There you go. Now we just gotta get something to cook over that sucker. Good job, man. Congratulations. That's awesome. You just made fire with freaking rubbing 2 sticks together. How's that make you feel?
That's pretty cool. Wow.
All right, guys, there you go.